Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the November 12th meeting of the Acton Agua Dulce Unified School District Board of Trustees. We've just returned from closed session, and we will reconvene our meeting at 7:34 p.m. Let's start off with good things first. Board members, you'll remember we were approached by a young man named Aidan Vidik about using the school district's logo to kind of welcome, to include different aspects of community in his welcome to Acton signs as an Eagle Scout project. He's reported back to us with the following. We'd like to thank you for providing the logo for the school district to be included in the welcome to Acton signs I have built as my Eagle Scout project. The county will be preparing the logos and will install them when they install the signs. The 3 signs are now finished. I will be giving them to Public Works. That's Los Angeles County Public Works next week for installation when they are able. I have included a picture of one of the signs in this letter. With your assistance and support, my Eagle Scout project turned out wonderfully, and for that I thank you. Sincerely, Aidan Vidik. Good job, young man. I received a nice thank you note from the class of 2023. I went down and got some pizza, which my stomach says I didn't need, but it was great. And what was really great was we fall into this lull of this COVID thing and kind of get business and, you know, when are we going to do this and when is the negotiation going to enable us to do that or whatever we're doing. And it was very refreshing to me to see that the class of 2023 is actively engaged in a number of ways, and your energy is very renewing. And get out there and talk to people. From the beginning, I received an email that said we're going to be there, how important it was that I was there. But guys, you did a wonderful job there, and I was happy to attend, and I have great hopes for you. Share your energy with the other classes, please. I have received from the Los Angeles County Office of Education a letter dated October 30th, 2020. It reminds us that Governor Newsom in June of this year eliminated the requirement for local education agencies to adopt a local control and accountability plan, or the LCAP that we all talk about every year, and instead, during the COVID situation, adopt a learning continuity plan. That was submitted by the district to LACOE, our oversight agency. They responded back with a number of recommendations, including distance learning program section, pupil learning loss section, action tables, and increased and improved services section. Now, these are recommendations. The district, or LACOE, respects local control, meaning they know and stay in their lane when it comes to the school board and the local parents through input through their elected school board to run their district. And in the event that the staff in the district decides to look at some of those recommendations, those will appear in front of the board before they're sent into LACOE as an update, but there's nothing egregious in here that I read. You'll notice that LACOE provides that to the board president, CCs it to a bunch of people in the district, but their idea is to make sure that the people who are elected to represent the students in the community and the parents and their parents are fully aware of what's going on. Let's talk a little bit about some of the questions we're dancing around. There are 3 aspects to returning to school. You received a phone call. There was no Soviet Union behind the survey. It was, will you plan on attending, sending your child back to a school environment in which people are required to wear masks all the time, stay 6 feet away from each other, and operate in cohorts. Now, in my experience, at any other time, cohorts are looked as a bad thing because you tend to end up with all the Pfalzgraf-like kids in one group over there wearing their suits that signify them as a problem, and then you've got the smart kids and the other kids. However we group people, I think we've gotten away from grouping people. So cohorts to me kind of smells of something fishy. I know that there are some people, I won't get into any detail here, but some people are not capable of wearing a mask or understanding social distancing. And I think that to openly call out for those people to return to school first is kind of putting people in the spotlight that maybe don't want to be in the spotlight. So we always want to remember that. I've dealt with that as delicately as I can. Also, some of the people that tend to be discounted the most, being given the opportunity first, can create some tension and the idea that some kids have promise while others do not, and then athletics ends up into the discussion, all those types of things. So I want to remind everyone that in order for any of this to happen, parents are responsive. They ask you, will you send your child in? That's a personal decision, and maybe your child is not capable of doing that, or maybe they are. The next obvious question then is, if X number of people are going to come back and participate, then we need to change our facility plan, and we need to prep for that. The second question in the survey was, if you are going to return, do you plan on requiring transportation? Because again, there are some logistical things that go on there. Director of transportation, people like that have to make sure that people aren't sitting too close together, and there are all kinds of rules that go with that. So if you're one of the people that participated in the survey, thank you very much. It informs your school district personnel on what to plan for. The final piece is, as always, and we've seen this before, I've had this hit me before, and in my mind, sooner is better, but the community needs to understand there has to be MOUs in place, and when those negotiations are taking place, then nothing is final. So answer the survey, that's what you can do, and then wait for the MOUs to finally come together whenever that will be. I appreciate your question about that, Board Member Fox. A little bit about this case. I keep telling everybody the number, 266439. That's the losing number. Larry danced on most of my comments for this, but here's the bottom line. I was out in the audience in 2013 when this came together, and if you dig enough, you'll find me there. The May 17th date, 2017, if you were able to find that movie, which is 3.5 years old, you might think that I'm probably good at predicting horse races and stuff, which I'm not, but I did pretty good to predict what was going to happen then. What Larry is telling you is very clear. There are going to be budgetary impacts. We are going to discuss what we know about that and what we can discuss. Remember, I always point back there, and sometimes when you get on the board, you all of a sudden figure out, man, some of that stuff I've been talking about in the election, oh, I don't guess you can do that. Anyway, that said, there is going to be a court decision, and it's going to impact the way charters run and how they're funded, and what the authorizer can charge in terms of for what, and whether or not it's for profit or not. So I applaud staff for wanting to have this special meeting where we can discuss the thing openly. And I also applaud staff that they would make LACOE, the oversight agency, aware of what the budget situation is going to be in the worst case scenario. So LACOE can respond when that budget is proposed to them in December. They can respond back with their recommendations, some of their concerns, especially what it looks like in year 3. So stay tuned for that. The big message tonight is, kids, Eagle Scout, the ones that are out there making this happen, that's what this is really all about, and let's keep that in mind. Thank you, Larry. Let's move on. Lynn, I'll tell you this. You're a multifaceted person. I don't know that anyone everyone knows this, but Lynn serves as an instructor in USC program. Anybody know USC? And so she develops people going into, I mean, you don't walk out of USC and become, I won't even go there because the examples I would use aren't whatever. Anyway, you give the district, you've always given the district a great deal of credibility just in the way you conduct yourself and what you're involved in outside of your Lynn. Your conservative approach towards financing right now, at the worst possible time, your approach has made it to where it's the best it can be at the worst possible time. Everybody just looks at Lynn about, well, you know, she runs the money and tells you no. They invented copper wire by Lynn and I fighting over a penny, just so everyone knows that. But Lynn has also developed the maintenance and facility staff and gave us a much better idea of what that looks like, how it's measurable. So when we see these presentations up here about what the campuses look like, what the projects look like over the summer, I think some staff in this district have grown immensely because they've been empowered by you letting them grow immensely, Lynn. I think one of the things that's most important to me is this district has gone through some legal challenges. There's been makeup in the chain, in the board, who sits up here, how they look at certain things. And I think, again, your professional opinion, your professional reputation, which you came here with, and the way you participated in some of the challenges of dealing with state auditor, court people, district attorneys, you kept the district in a position of respectability. And that is what I will most remember you for at this very difficult time. They did not call me at your new employer because I would have trashed you, they would have not hired you, and I would have kept you, Lynn, and that's the best compliment I can give you. Thank you. And Mr. Sage, you come out of my business and I look for people moving. You can't depend on the wind to rake your leaves because it never puts it in the right place. And young man, I appreciate you being busy all the time. I appreciate you being decent with the public and positive at all times. And I know you're going to do well out there. And again, no one called me for your recommendation. I would have sunk you along with Lynn, and I would be retaining you as well. And that's the best compliment I can give you. Thank you. The best thing that we could do for everyone to understand what this is to tell us what specifically we are asking for approval for tonight, and whether or not this opens the door that says we are ready to go back if and when. I think that's the looming question. I don't want to put you on the spot, but you are on the spot.
So the recommendation is that the board approve the MOU between the Acton Agua Dulce Unified Teacher Association and the school district.
Okay.
Once this is approved, it will go into effect immediately.
Okay, and this document was made public on Monday evening, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, before I call the question one more time, this has been through a public hearing. The public hearing occurred more than 14 days apart from this vote, and Assurance Learning Academy was asked many questions about compliances with recent assembly bills, their WIOA partnerships, the locations of their campuses, and what the legal status of this is. That said, call to question. We have just approved the material revision for Assurance Learning Academy Charter School. We will now move on to item B, a public hearing for iLead Agua Dulce Charter School Petition for Renewal. Larry, would you introduce us and give us a little framework as to what we can expect out of this hearing for people that haven't heard one before. As a matter of business, board, I'm going to ask that you support me in extending the time another 15 minutes. I have a number of questions. We have 4 minutes and 36 seconds left. I'm going to propose that we extend this to, let's add on another 15 minutes. I doubt that we'll use it, but we may have circle backs by the time we're done. Can I get a motion for that, please? We're going to extend the questioning period. I'm going to suggest that you get Dawn Ivinson ready for me. Right now, I'll go back to Amanda. Amanda, would you show me slide 17, please, and summarize it quickly? Wonderful. Thank you for that. Could you please summarize my next questions, could you please summarize slide 18 for me, please? Wonderful. Thank you. Is there anything you'd like to show me about slide 19? I think you see what's happening here now, right? While the public is doing their popcorn, we'll remember that Dawn was the first one that made it through my typical questions about charters, and thank you for helping the other charters understand the importance of honesty and candor, especially at the end when you said the last time, is that all you have for me, Pfalzgraf? Well, it's taken me 3.5 years. The answer was no. Okay, Dawn, these are simple yes or no things. You'll recall that I'm the bad guy that instead of giving you 5 years would only, I just said you're only going to get 3. Yeah. And the concerns I had back then were, are you going to provide a significant educational benefit? Have you done that?
Yes.
Have you shown me that you could maintain a fiscal stability in an environment that typically would only command an ADA of 150 or less?
Absolutely, yes.
Did you meet your enrollment projections?
Yes.
How many cutbacks have you had in 3 years that caused you program diminishment in the interest of funding top-heavy positions?
No. You said yes or no.
That's I understand what that means clearly. Thank you for trying to teach me, though. Come on, you're not doing well here with me. Let's go. I'm used to more from you than this. Let's say this. The real issue that you're there, and I want to remind everybody, that last question was significant because if you do not have the, I call it corporate capacity or organizational depth is kind of what I was looking at. You know that education and diversity of program goes out the window when cost starts to become an issue. And that is what happened over there. There were 2 prior failures to be able to maintain fiscal stability, one from a previous charter and one from another one. And I think that we're able to honestly look at this right now and look at numbers and say, hey, you know what? This either worked or not, and I think people are smart enough to look at that. But here's the reason charters exist. Do you reach kids that you don't think are reached by other people?
Yes.
Who do you force to come to your school?
We don't have to force anyone. They can come once.
What an interesting concept. Tell me what you see. Now we're getting into the more complicated questions that might involve three-word answers. You know about the 1505 and 1507 to 1507 set of assembly bills, and I think you understand what those might have been intended to do. Do you see any short-term or long-term implications from those that would debilitate your program?
I think that our program is strong enough to make it through anything. We have, like you said, a lot of organizational capacity, and we have families who really, truly are engaged in our organization and in their schools, and I think that makes a huge difference. I do think, though, that it could be crippling to the charter school movement.
Okay. You are aware that this board can now, through the 1505 Assembly Bill, consider the fiscal impact of your school on our budget, including this idea that you're stealing our ADA. You're aware of that, correct? A board member could choose to, for nothing else, make that the reason they deny your renewal. You're aware of that.
I am aware.
And I hope that if that were the case, they would tell you that.
Yes.
Do you have any conflict of interest that you want to tell me about with regards to how your petition is represented?
No. I think that at one point we shared the same lawyer firm, but we have a memorandum of understanding that you guys have one partner and we have another.
Okay.
Ours is primarily for special education only.
And it's my understanding that you revealed that when you made your submittal.
Yes.
Honesty, what a concept. Let me ask you this. I want to talk about me personally. Would you say that I personally have been involved in coming to your campuses and being involved in your programs enough for my own eyes? Have I been engaged enough to make a competent decision about your charter, an objective one that's based on performance and things other than emotions and feelings?
Yes, I believe that you have. You've been there frequently, you've presented to classrooms, you've taken tours. Yes, you've been a supportive partner.
I'm just spying on you. I'm not supportive at all. Next thing is the educational track that your parents have grown to trust you for. What will you tell them when if someone were to say, you are forced to leave iLead to attend another school? What will you tell the parent? I know these are very unorthodox questions, but that just came up.
I'm not exactly sure. Could you restate your question?
So, in other words, let's say I don't feel that you can run higher grades there. What are you going to tell the parents that have chosen your educational track and would expect that it would continue? What would you tell those parents?
That I'm really sorry, because we do have the capacity to run a high-functioning, non-traditional high school program. We've done it at our other schools. We have experience in that area, and this is something that I know they are very much looking forward to. So my hope is that that is not what we have to say.
Well, if there's any concerns, then I hope you'll be able to show us what that looks like if there are any concerns.
Absolutely. We'd be happy to do that.
I think that in addition to your petition being online, it's been online since the submittal, and this is the district staff. If you'd care to, I would hope that you would put your entire slideshow ready for view to the public of anyone who wants to look at it on the district website. Can you do that? Is there anything else you feel I should scathe you about this evening?
No, I just would like you to pronounce my last name.
Dawn. We done? Is that all you got for me, Dawn?
Yes, I had a very easy question for you. I'm so sorry that you couldn't fulfill it, but thank you.
Usually say things like that after the vote, Dawn. Board members, is there anything else that you would like to run back through? I will close this meeting by telling you that short of some type of odd set of circumstances, this will be the last regular board meeting that I will serve this district as president of the board. I appreciate everyone's patience with my style, having proper process, but having some levity and a little bit of fun and keeping things civil has been my goal this year. You will notice that I'm often the one that will bring up sensitive subjects, sometimes things that I know the answer to already, but it's my goal and purpose for people to understand the district of the business, the policies of the district, and what this board is challenged with, and to know our role, that we're not the educational professionals, but we are certainly the people who are elected to be sitting up here to do the best that we can for our community with good conscience. I will tell you this, now that the election is over, no more votes are being cast or thrown in the bushes or whatever's happening. It's been my honor to serve with each and every one of you. You have brought something unique to the table, but the one thing that you bring to the table that's common is honesty and integrity, and it's been my pleasure to serve you for that. I will go back down in the end. I will no longer give oratories, but you can expect the quips and I will be the bookend that opens up discussion on items, so watch for that. And board, it's been my pleasure to know you and serve with you, and each one of you has unique talents that have greatly benefited the students of this district. Thank you. That concludes my Hallmark card for the year.